Unlearning, the key to continuous improvement. I think that we often get caught up thinking that life is a linear upward journey, as if we continuously accumulate information until we reach overall mastery. We never consider the possibility of unlearning what we think we know. I don't think learning should be viewed as linear. It's clear that along the way, we learn some things that are straight up wrong. The troubling part is that there is a large number of people who persist in wrong understanding. Instead of looking to correct course, these types plead ignorance. Ignorance is bliss, I guess. A better path forward, I believe, is to constantly reassess what we know and compare it to an ideal that continuously changes for the better. This can be discouraging and exhausting if our conviction isn't quite there. Assessment phase. How are we doing? Assessment can't occur without a goal or an objective. I typically envision myself achieving my goal. This sets me up to have a vision to compare to. The fact that we're assessing needs to mean that underlying our motives there must be a spirit of continuous improvement. Otherwise, there would be no ideal goal to strive for. Upon initial completion of a goal, we need to assess our progress. How did we fare in comparison to what we were expecting? Is our result approaching the best possible result? If not, is it because we need to learn something more or change our approach? Decision phase. Will unlearning be necessary? In more cases than we might care to admit, it actually might make more sense to unlearn and relearn than to seek more learning. In cases where we fall short of our goal over and over again, it may actually make sense to take this revised approach of unlearning and relearning. I'll give you some examples from my own life. 1. Relearning to run or walk. This is an odd one for most people. How is it that you need to relearn to walk? Over time, you realize that certain small nagging injuries get worse. It turns out that many of these happen because of some bad habits that we've allowed to become the norm. As an example, we might lean too far to one side when we walk, or we might slouch as we walk. 2. Relearning what it takes to be happy. In my earlier life, I was convinced that chasing pleasure and thrills would make me happy. I had to unlearn this frame of thinking to realize that happiness is a byproduct of something much more meaningful. When I unlearned these flawed ideas, I began to see the world from a different lens. 3. Relearning what it means to have a healthy diet. There was a time when I was abiding by the food pyramid guidelines, thinking that it was ideal. Every time I tried to eat healthy, I would revert to those habits. I needed to unlearn those guidelines and habits in order to make way for a more solid set of eating guidelines. You can see how unlearning makes way for new knowledge. Although the traditional method of continuous knowledge acquisition may get to the same result, it would take far longer. This is a shift in mindset that accelerates the process of continuous improvement. Application phase. Applying the new knowledge. Inevitably, attempting to apply new learnings will make it seem like we've taken steps back in terms of progress. However, this is normal in skill acquisition. Eventually, after some practice, we get used to this new method and begin to see results that are better than when we used methods from the past. That might be why most of us skip this process of unlearning. It hurts the ego to witness ourselves take a step back. I think we need to get past this pain if we're going to see results. If you enjoyed this article, you can read more like it at www.banafit.com. That's www.banafit.com. Thanks for listening.